Now, we're going to continue with our topic for today, and that's analyzing data. And what we're going to need in order for us to do that, there's a couple things I need for you to have out. Okay? One, I want you to turn in your folder to the classwork section. Turn in your folder to the classwork section. I also want you to have out your Tim chart that has mean, median, mode, range, and outliers on it. And we're going to be analyzing the data from our frequency table and our line plot that we did as a class, so you'll need to have that out as well. Okay? Your frequency and line plot that we did as a class. Okay? Alright, so those are just the things that are going to help us. Please take these Kim charts out of your folders and put them into your binders, because they need to be, you need to be familiar with that and the information that's on there, because your Kim chart is not just vocabulary words. They also tell you how those words will be used. For example, for mean, median, and mode, it tells you how to find your mean, tells you how to find your median, tells you how to find your mode. It also tells you a little bit about analyzing and interpreting your data, because that's what we're going to go into today. Okay. At the end of class, anybody who needs to hold punch will do that. Okay. Now, in your classwork section, I want you to write analyzing data and put today's date. Analyzing data and put today's date. And you can just do that. I know you have classwork written at the top. Just write it under that and then put today's date. This process that I'm about to go through with you is very important, because you're going to be given a project where you're going to go through this entire process on your own, as far as what our standard says, posing questions or asking survey questions. You're going to ask your own question, collecting the data, which we did with our frequency table and with our line plot, depending on the type of data we're collecting, and analyzing and interpreting the data. We're going to go through that today, and representing on a graph. We'll get to that later on. Okay, so the things that we're doing now are very important, because you're going to end up doing it on your own. So we want to make sure we understand the processes as we go through, and if you have any questions, we'll talk about it. Okay, now we're going to start with our frequency table. And we collected our data. The frequency table helped us collect it pretty quickly and kind of group it up and organize it. But we have to see what that data actually looks like in order for us to analyze it properly. Okay? So here's what we're going to do. Under where you wrote, we're going to write out our data the way that we collected it. Okay? Starting with cookies and cream. We're going to use CNC to represent the number of people that said cookies and cream. Okay, and we had 6 people. So for our data, we would put CNC 6 times. Okay? And this is what you're writing on in your folder. Okay? And everyone understands why we did that and what it represents. This represents each person that said that their favorite was cookies and cream. Okay? And looking up above the Rocky Road, no one said it, so we're not even going to put that as part of our data. You know, we had 0 people. Chocolate will abbreviate with CH, and we had 5 people. So we'll go CH 5 times. And it's very important to, once we collect our data, that we actually write our data out and show it, because this is the only way we'll be able to analyze it using mean, median, mode, and range. Okay? Strawberry, we had 6 people, so we're going to abbreviate it ST. Okay? And vanilla, we had 5 people. So we'll abbreviate it with a V. Okay? So, that is our data that we collected. Each one of those represents the response that we made as far as what our favorite flavor of ice cream is. Okay? Now, what we're going to do with that data is we're going to analyze it by starting with finding our mean, median, mode,
Do we write that on there?
yes, and range. Okay? Our mean, median, mode, and range. Now, it's very important that we write this out, because we do not want to get our actual data mixed up with our frequencies. Okay? The numbers on our frequency table at the end, those were our frequencies. But this is the actual data. These are the responses. Okay? Now, keeping that in mind, we want to find these. Raise your hand if you can tell me, how do we find the mean? Remind us of how we find the mean.
You add all the numbers together and divide by how many numbers you have.
Okay, you add all the numbers together and you divide by how many numbers you were given. Okay, can we add numbers together here?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, yes, you said.
This is our actual data. Do we have numbers?
No.
No, we don't have numbers. We have categories. Okay? But in order to find the mean, we have to add the numbers together. That means that we cannot find a mean of this information. Okay? Everybody follows that? This is categorical data, not numerical data. Okay? In order to find the mean, we have to add all our numbers together, all our data together. But we don't have numbers in this data, we have categories. So there's no mean. What about median?
Yes.
How do we remind us of how we find the median?
The middle numbers.
It,
There's two numbers.
okay, it's the middle number. After we put them in numerical order, remember on our chem chart, that's kind of stressed too. Make sure you put your numbers in numerical order, then you find the one in the middle. Can we put this information in numerical order? No, because it's categories, not numbers. So we can't even find the median. Raise your hand if you can tell us how we find the mode.
The number that appears most often.
Okay, and mode, it's really the data, so that we probably need to go back and change that. It's the data that appears most often. Can we find what appeared the most out of this information?
Yes.
We can. We can find what appeared the most because it will have more people saying it. Okay? So which appeared the most with this data?
Strawberries and cookies and cream.
Strawberries and cookies and cream. So both of those will be the mode because they both showed up the same amount of time, 6 and 6. Okay? And can we find the range?
No.
Range involves numbers as well. So we can't find the range because we can't find the highest value. Okay? So we have none. So those are our results from when we analyze it. We can't find the mean, we can't find the median, we do have a mode, we can't find the range. When we are analyzing results and when we get ready to interpret results, we have to use these to tell us what's the pattern, what happened when we got this information. Okay? What's the only thing that we can say using these? What's the only thing that we can say? We can only say the mode. We can only say that most people either chose cookies and cream or strawberry. Okay? We can also say that it's the most popular. The most popular flavor is cookies and cream or strawberry. Okay? Now, on your chem chart, if you look at the last lines of mean, median, and mode, it talks about which one best describes the data. And what that means is which one would probably be the best to use to show what happens, to show the pattern. Out of this information, which one do you think is the best to show the outcome of what happened or the pattern that? Well, this is categorical data, but looking at mean, median, mode, and range, which one of these best tells a pattern that happened? The mode, because it's the only thing that we could find. Okay? And looking at your chem chart, under mode, it says it best describes categorical data. So why do you think it best describes categorical data? Why do you think the mode best describes categorical data?
It's what's the most of it.
It's the most, and what else?
Numbers and like letters.
Because it can use numbers and categories. Nothing else. We can't find any of these with categories. We can only find that. So it best describes categorical data because it's the only thing that we can find when we have categorical data. Okay? And that gets into our interpreting part. That's where you are going to have to use that information to tell someone what happened. If you look at like the award shows on television and even the music charts and things like that, that is what they do. They give surveys, ask people what's your favorite music artist and things like that, and they put it all together, and whoever comes up being the most, they get the award for favorite rap artist or favorite pop artist, because the mold in that information was whoever that artist was. So that is where the interpretation comes in. Okay, it's a lot easier with categorical because you can only find the mold. Okay, we don't have any information to put in numerical order. Now, when we get into numbers, and we can find all of these, we have to think about it a little bit more to figure out which one is the best one to use. Now, if you look at your chem chart again, I also kind of went ahead and told you which one to use. Mean says if you have numbers without outliers, you use the mean. If you have outliers, you use the median. Now, we're going to talk a little bit more about that and why that is important coming up in the next day or two. Okay. What I want to do next is to look at our line plot, our numerical data, and go through the same steps as far as analyzing the data. Okay. And here's what we're going to do here. I want you to take out a sheet of paper from your binder. Okay, take out a sheet of paper from your binder. And the reason we're doing that is because if you look at the homework, we're actually going to do the mean at home. So that's going to be your homework. So take out a sheet of paper from your binder. I ask you to take it out of your binder because you need to, after you write this information down, you need to put it back in your binder so you can take it home and do it for homework, okay? And not stick it in your folder. Okay, on that sheet of paper at the top, you're going to write line plot data. Your homework says find the mean of your line plot data, so what we're about to do now is write out your line plot data so that you can take it home and find the mean of it. After you've written out this data, take that piece of paper and put it in your binder. We're not going to work on it. We work on homework at home. Okay? So we're going to put it up, and then we'll just start. We'll write our homework in our planner and make sure we get things whole bunch that we need to whole bunch and start preparing to go watch. So once you've written this information down, and I'm going to go over it with you so that you've written it right, you're just going to place it back in your binder and under the math section. Okay? Now, here is your line plot data. These are actual numbers, and one important thing when we have numerical data is that we put it in numerical order because we need that for the median, we need that for the range, so we'll go ahead and do it. The beauty of a line plot is that it did it for us. As each person said theirs, we just put an X over what was said. When we were done, it was already placed in numerical order for us. So that is why it's important the way we collect our data, because it organizes it for us as well. Okay? Now, looking at our data, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 X's over 0. What does that mean?
4 people don't got that. 4 people don't got that.
4 people have 0 pets. So that data looks like this. Four people have 0 pets. That goes on this sheet of paper that you just took out. This is your line plot data. Okay? Remember, after we write it all out, you're going to do what with it?
Put it in my.
Take it and put it back in your binder, put it away, and then we're going to write our homework down and get things whole bunch that needs to be over. Alright, next we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 X's over 1. So 5 people said they have 1 pet. Okay, let me make my commas look a little bit better so you won't think that they are ones. Okay, 5 people said they have 1 pet. 4 people said that they have 2 pets. Okay? 2 people said they have 3. 3 people said they have 4. And 3 people said that they have 5. Now, like I said earlier, once you have that written, put it back in your binder. Okay?
Could I have your attention, please? Could I have your attention? The following 6th grade students, please come to the front office and bring your schedules. Please come to the front